Let's give it one more time for Nick.
I feel really bad about all the nice things Kayla said about me because I cut her brake line earlier today as a joke. I gotta do that. I think things are funny, and So my name's Nick, and I live in New York City right now with my wife. Yeah, what? And what I like about New York is the accent. I get to pretend I have the accent because were you guys at Mass? So I did the British thing. So all my life, ever since I was little, down in Canal Park in Duluth, we would go and we would pretend to be British. And it was horrible back then. So everybody knew we weren't. But do you guys know the O'Neills? Do you guys know the O'Neills from church here? No? Okay. Well, never mind. So their daughter and our family are really good friends. And we were in Canal Park a few years back doing the New York accent. And so what I like about being in New York is that I get to hear it every day. They yell at you, but they don't mean it. They're not, but they'll yell at you. What are you doing? You're stupid. Get out of the way. But they don't actually have any ill feeling toward you. And in Minnesota, that's they want you dead. They're please don't kill me. But and oh man, I wish I could do it justice. When you're at a stoplight, and it's red, and so there's 5 cars. As it turns green, all 5 cars go like they all honk at themselves because everybody's honking, and as if I don't know. They don't even give you time. People will start as it's red. They'll just start creeping into the intersection. All 5 cars just no one's gonna notice. They'll go right to and it's not a lie. The only time I really enjoy driving, I feel like my whole life was leading up to getting to drive in New York City because there's no rules at all. So it's kind of like when you high schoolers drive around here, just whatever, driving around and texting But there, it's really they don't get mad if you cut in front of them. If the corner of your car is in front of them, they're like, oh yeah, you win, and they back off. It's so fun. And the time that I have won, because they're always beating me. But last week we had a snowstorm that was kind of like a Minnesota snowstorm, and so there were about 6 inches on the ground. And those idiots don't know how to drive in snow at all. It's great because all the other time of the year I feel like a moron driving in New York, but I was the king. I was just whipping past people and spinning and waving as we spun and anything because I'm yeah, I own this road. I had a flat tire. I had a little spare donut. Have you seen those? The little donut? I had a donut, so my car was angled, and I was still kicking all their butts. It was the best. My wife was like, slow down, idiot. And I'm like, no, this is my day. But my wife is working in a hospital there in New York, and she works in kind of a ghetto area, and it's so fun because every day when she gets home, I grab my phone and I get out the recorder, and I'm like, okay, tell me what you saw today, because the craziest junk happens. And twice now, she has had they send her into a patient, and she walks in, and it's a guy in a bed handcuffed to the railings because he just got out of prison or whatever. And she walked in, and the first day, he was handcuffed down, and he had been stabbed in a knife fight that day. And he had just gotten out of prison on an 18-month stint or whatever they call it, up the river in Sing Sing. I don't know, but he was anchored down, and she's she got a needle out for a little lidocaine, nothing. I mean, he just was in a knife fight, and as she got the needle, he was oh, and he was looking away like a baby. It was the best, and my wife was laughing at him, just because what could he do? He was chained down, so it was not that big of a deal. But when she got done, no lie, the door opens and 2 undercover cops come in with the hoodies and the stocking cap and the little lanyard around there. So we need to talk to the guy. You need to get out of here. It's so fun. What else? Oh, the other, and I don't advocate drugs or alcohol in any way. Can I make that clear? But this is a funny story. So this bad guy, he was chained down as well. He was handcuffed down, but he was like ghetto thug, Latino ghetto thug, and he had come in because he has eczema. You know what eczema is? It's like a skin rash. It's dry skin, basically, that gets cracked. That's all it is. And he was so scared. She noticed he was sitting in the chair, and he was really fidgety or whatever, and his eyes were red. And she's like, are you okay, sir? And he's like, yeah, I just got the eczema. She's like, well, no, but you seem a little... And he's like, yeah, well, I was really scared about coming in, and so I got drunk and high before I came in. And so he had no clue what was going on because he was so scared of lotion that they would put on his arms. And so when she went to give him the form to sign, all he could do was 3 capital letters. And then he was just laughing the whole time. So she just took that as okay. But anyway, that's total. So that's what you get for living in New York. And my kids, we adopted them from a little Caribbean island. Smallest island in the Caribbean, or one of them, and we took them to the biggest city in America. And we thought it would freak them out, and that's fun as parents to freak out your kids. But they love it. They're having a great time. We have a 3, a 5, and a 9-year-old. And they're all, and if I was a good dad, I would have pictures of them up, but I'm not, so I don't. But they're there, I promise. I have them. And they just I didn't have kids. We were married 11 years before we had any kids, and then one weekend we just had kids. They were there all of a sudden, and that's crazy. That's not the normal way to go about it, but that's the way we do it. And they say really fun stuff. The other day I let them help, with things and cook around the house and whatnot, especially the 9-year-old. And we were getting hot dogs ready or whatever, and so I left the room, and I came back, or I was out of the room, and I heard, "Daddy, I didn't even have to squeeze it just came out." And I thought he had squeezed the ketchup all over, because sometimes the pressure. And I walked in, and he wasn't there, and I'm like, "Where are you?" He's like, "I'm on the toilet." So you remember what he said? He was so proud on the toilet when he said, "Daddy, I didn't have to squeeze it just came out." That's what parenthood is about. I didn't know that's what parenthood was about. I thought it was like raising up children in the Lord, and no, it's just dealing with toilet paper all the time. But it's good. It's really good. It's really good. It's teaching me how to be a good father and a good husband, and it's awesome. So not now, but in the future, I encourage you to have children. Not now, but in the future, I encourage you to have children. I want to make that clear, because then they'll be like, "This guy came in and he was telling kids to have babies." So anyway, so tonight I get to talk. We only have a little bit of time, and we get to talk about sacrificial love. And you've probably, if you've grown up in the church at all, then you've heard that term, sacrificial love, and you hear it all the time, like giving of self and sacrificing. But one of the questions that we don't ever really address, you probably know you're supposed to sacrifice of yourself. If you're Catholic especially, you know all about embracing redemptive suffering and all the terms. And as kids, you grow. I think as you come out of the womb, they're making you genuflect in the hospital room so that you just get used to it, things like that. You grow up hearing these terms. That's not true? Oh, that's what I did to my kids. I'm just kidding. I wasn't even Catholic. I'm just kidding. But anyway, one of the questions we ask is why? Why would you want to? And maybe some of you in the room have asked that. They're always telling me to give of myself and blah, 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 and give myself back to God. But why? And for me, the why is always the big question. Why on earth would I want to? Why would I give of myself? Why would I sacrifice for anyone, God or anyone else? And I didn't grow up Catholic. I grew up in the Assemblies of God. I became Catholic in 2008. And growing up, my biggest inspiration, the guy I always wanted to be, his name was Jim Elliot. Has anyone ever heard of Jim Elliot? For any reason? No? Jim Elliot was from, I can't remember where he came from, but he went to Wheaton College in Illinois. And he knew that God wanted him to be a missionary. And when he was in college, he was really charismatic. He was really outgoing, and everybody around him said, "No, you need to get into politics or acting. You're amazing. When you speak in front of people, everybody listens, and you're very charming. So you should think about that." And he said, "No. I know God wants me to be a missionary. He wants me to give my life for missions." And they're like, "But why? We need you here." And he actually, one of his favorite famous quotes, he said that because people were like, "We need you here. You could preach to us and encourage us." And he said, "America's condemnation is written in their bank books and in the dust on their Bible covers." Basically, you know what? America has their chance, but they're engulfed in money, and they won't turn to God's word. So that's fine. That's their choice. I need to go. And so he did. He got married, and him and his buddy, Nate Saint was a pilot, and he was a really awesome guy, and 3 other guys, they all got together, and their wives, and they all moved to Ecuador. And there was a group of Indians called the Alka Indians, and I just found out they were also pronounced Huaorani, but I always heard it the Alka Indians. And Alka actually means savage. And there was this group of native Ecuadorians out in the jungles, and they were known for being just savage, violent people. So that they were always warring and murdering tribes, but anybody who stumbled, wandered into their territory, they would murder them. They were just very angry, evil people. And that was who Jim Elliot felt, and Nate Saint and the other guys, they felt like they were called to go to the Alka Indians. So they they got all the supplies together, and they set up a base camp way away out of any danger territory. And they flew some trips around the area, and they circled, and they could see, the natives down there. And they even, Nate Saint figured out a way that out of the back of his little Piper Cub plane, they would lower on a winch, they would lower this cable, and at the end was a big basket, and they would fill it with gifts, with axes to help them, build things, and with food, and so then they would lower it out the back. And Nate Saint, actually, this is a total side note, but he figured out a way no pilot had ever done. And he would start to circle way, way up, 150, 200 feet up in the air above the jungle. He would be circling, and then this basket was hanging down, and for a while it would trail the airplane, but it would find the center of the vortex. And so he would be circling up hundreds of feet above, and it would be floating in the center, just waiting. And so then the natives would come out, and they'd see this big thing in the sky, and then there'd be this basket of gifts. And they would take the gifts, and they did a couple of missions like that, where they actually gave, they were giving of them and letting them know we have goodwill. And so then they decided a certain day they would set up a camp just 4 miles out. And so they found a little strip of sand on a beach that he could land his plane on. And they did. They said goodbye to their wives and everything, and they suited up all the stuff they were going to give to the Alka Indians when they got there. And so they landed, and they set up their camp, and they had journaled, what was going on during the day and stuff. And they had just plans to engage some kind of contact and give them, just goods, in order to start to form a relationship. And at a certain point in the day, a war party came out and massacred them all, without ever them getting a chance to reach out in Christ's name or anything. They were dead. And they had guns. The missionaries had guns with them. But they had determined ahead of time that they would never use them on another. They fired them in the air till they were out of bullets to try to scare them away, but they would never end someone else's life. And they did it because they knew, God is calling us to let these people know of God's love. And if they kill me, I know where I'm going. I know that I've trusted my life to Christ. I know what real love is and what real life is, and so I'm fine. But if I kill them, I also know what the good chances where they're going. And it's not to heaven. It's not to be with Christ, because they don't know of love. They know of anger and violence. And so they gave up their lives. And in fact, years later, well, actually the story goes, so they all died, all 5. They found their bodies floating down the river. And Jim Elliot's wife, Elizabeth, all the wives, they had a time of grieving, and they went back to America just to figure stuff out. But Elizabeth Elliot and a couple of the other wives said, no, we're going back. We're not going to let this beat us. Our husbands didn't die in vain. So Elizabeth Elliot and a couple of the other wives and their families set up a trip, and they went back. And they journeyed into the village. And they lived. And they learned the language over a long period of time. They learned the language, and they formed relationships, and they told them of Christ. To the point that, remember the pilot, Nate Saint? His son was baptized by the man who had killed his father. Nate Saint's murderer baptized his son. And he would say, that's just absurd. Why? What on earth? That whole story. Why would an idiot, why wouldn't you learn the language? Why wouldn't you think twice about it? Why wouldn't you be safer about it? But that's not the way Jim Elliot did. That's not the way he acted. His famous quote, and he was quoting another preacher, but he's known for quoting that he is no fool who gives up what he can't keep to gain what he can't lose. Meaning a smart man will take the things that he can't keep anyway and give them away in order to gain what he can't lose ever. And Jim Elliot knew, my life, I've given my life up to Christ. I trust Him. It doesn't even matter. Anyone can take my life. It's fine. I give it away. In order to gain eternity with love, with Christ, with God. But that seems foreign to us. Doesn't it? Doesn't that seem weird? Why? Why? I mean, think about your life. Tomorrow, you go to school. Do you guys go to school tomorrow? Tomorrow's Monday? Yeah? I don't know. Okay. So you guys get up and you go to school tomorrow. What in your day is worth dying for? I mean, what do you have in your life that you're no, yeah, I would take a bullet for that? We love so much. I love reading a lot. I don't get to read as much now that I have these 3 demons in the house, and they're and they burn things or whatever. So, but I have these kids, and so I don't get time to read anymore. And when they go to bed, you'd think, oh, well, you have hours to read. But as soon as they go to bed, I'm just asleep. So I don't get to read as much. But even, reading is important to me, and I love spy novels. like James Bond stuff. I read all the James Bond novels and Jason Bourne, all of those. I just love that stuff. Mainly because it's just a dude running around shooting and flipping and living. That's what I like. It's very simple, and I study so much theology that I just want a guy running and jumping. But you know what? I would not die for reading. Like, I would never, like, it's not like, give me Twilight or give me death. Like, I would never. I would never die for Twilight. I wouldn't do it. I love music. I love music. Music is, it's like, I know there's like God and my wife and kids and then music. And sometimes music is above my kids. I'm just going to be honest. Like every Lent, I can't fast food. I can't give up food because I get shaky when I don't eat, and I get angry and I just want to punch people. So I avoid that because Lent sucks at that point. But I give up music every year in the car. Like, so if you guys are any of you who drives? Anybody? When you get in the car, first thing you do is the radio or your iPod or Bluetooth or start humming just so that there's something filling up the sound. So for me, I do that. So every Lent, I give up music. And music means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. But I would not give up my life for music. I wouldn't do it. Like, you won't be at my funeral and like the eulogy is like, and he gave his life for All About That Bass. Just he loved it so much. Nick was all about that bass. And we recognize his sacrifice today. It's just such a weird concept. I picture me like in the casket and people go up to see me and I have her CD in my hands. And like I had them inject my booty so it's big, and I have my head bobbing even though I'm dead. Like I just gave my life for that. Total side note, that song ruined my family because I thought, it's got like this rhythm, my kids will like it, and I played it, and then my 3-year-old, all he says is booty. But you'll be like, Davey, he says, booty! What do you want for dinner? Booty! Oh, man, darn you, Megan Trainor. I would not give my life for music. I wouldn't do it. Oh my goodness. Sorry. I got distracted. My friends are in the back. Do you guys know Delaney O'Neill right there? And Pam O'Neill right there. Sorry, you got to point out your friends. They're going to feed me later and I don't want them to spit in my food like they do every other time. So anyway, I wouldn't die for literature. I wouldn't die for music as much as I love it. But you know what? I would die for my wife without a thought. I wouldn't have to think about it. There'd be no hesitation. I would die in a heartbeat for my wife. I would die for my kids. On certain days, I would hesitate, but I would still do it. Just going to be honest. When Davey has knife and bleach, like that's my 3-year-old just wants knives and chemicals. You remember that from last year? That's all he wants, knives and bleach. It hasn't changed. He's just able to get at them better now. And he knows padlocks and keys. It's horrible. But I would die for my kids. I would, of course, die. You die for your extended family. I die for my grandparents, my grandma. My grandma is weird, though. No lie. One day, she's not listening. How would she be listening? This isn't even piped out. I feel like I know she's here. She's like, I know what you did. She'll text me. But my grandma one day, out of nowhere, we're just talking to her. And she's not old or senile or anything. This is just my grandma. We were talking to my grandma. I don't even know about what. And she grew up in California in the desert, in the Mojave Desert. Like, her family is desert dwellers. Like, they talk about, we saw aliens. And none of that's made up, no lie. My Uncle Sherman, he'd show up in a camper every 5 years and be like, I saw them. He'd drive away. No lie. I'm not making it up at all. My grandma one time, out of nowhere, said, my mom used to chop up rattlesnakes into little bitty bits. We're like, okay, we love you, Grandma, and then we run. I don't want to go to Grandma's house. But I would die for my grandparents without a thought. I would die for you. I don't have to know you. I don't have to know anything about you. I don't care your behavior. I don't care what you do in life. I would die for you in a heartbeat. Without a thought. I would take a bullet for you. Without a thought. And if you think about your life, you wouldn't die for homework, right? And you probably wouldn't die for your iPad or your iPod or your iPeed. Just kidding. iPood. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. Finally, you laughed. I did that joke last year and no one laughed. You wouldn't die for your music. You wouldn't die for a gaming system. You wouldn't die for the car you have. But most of you, in an honest moment, if nobody was looking and you were not going to be recorded and you were off the record, you would die for your family. If it came down to it, you would. And there's probably very little in your life that you would actually give up your breath for. But odds are, when it comes to the family members you have, you would. And odds are, if you were faced, like the age-old, there's an old lady tied to the tracks. I don't know how all the old ladies get to the tracks in all these hypotheticals, but she's tied to the tracks and the train's coming, and you have a way to get her off, but it's going to cost your life. Most people would, right? Because there's something in us that recognizes the worth of the human being. But I was asking the question the other day. I believe that. I firmly believe. I don't need to know you. I would die for you. But I had to actually ask myself, why? What is it? I know that humans have dignity, but what gives us that dignity? I don't know if you know this, that you're worth everything. You are. You're worth everything. Every one of you. You're worth all the money in the world. You're worth every minute of the rest of my life and your parents' life and your priest's life. You're worth everything. And we know this because where's a crucifix? There isn't one. This is a Catholic church. Father, Father, Father. I just happen to have one right here, Father. Nick 1, Father 0. Oh, yeah. Thank you. We know that humanity has worth because of the crucifix. We know that we matter because God died for us. That God made you in your mother's womb, and 2,000 years before you were ever born, before you ever tripped and fell and made a mistake in your life, before you ever royally screwed up, He died for you because He loves you. And I was talking to Mark earlier today about gold. I was talking because gold is, currency. I was talking about currency. What makes currency worthwhile? We don't trade in sheets of paper. We don't trade in paper clips. We trade in these precious jewels and precious metals. Why? And we're talking about there's a couple of reasons. One is that they're rare. That they're very limited. You can't make more of it. There's just what there is, and it's rare. And then also that it's incorruptible. Especially when it's been purified, it's incorruptible. It doesn't just wear away. Have you ever heard the term as good as gold? Oh, that guy's great. He's as good as gold. There's a good analogy in that for you and I. You're worth more than gold. You're worth everything. You're worth life and breath. But a good way to think of it is that you are unique and unrepeatable. You're more than rare. Gold, you can get another gold ring or whatever. You can find some more. Do you guys know that there will never, ever, in all of eternity, be another you? That God, plenty of people like me. There's nothing that stands out. That's actually a lie. You're made in the image and likeness of God. You are unique and unrepeatable. There will never, in all of eternity, be another you. And I know, school, culture, sometimes family, sometimes friends, they can make you feel like, I just don't measure up. I need to be something different. If I would be better at sports, if I would be better at this, if I would be better at this, if I would look better, if I this, if I that, if I didn't make so many mistakes, if I wasn't so this, if I wasn't so that, we can start to feel like if we were something else, we'd be good. But in God's eyes right now, He has never loved you more than He does right now. You are unique and unrepeatable, and He will always love you as much as He loves you right now. You're more than rare. You're singular. There will never, ever be another you. You are also incorruptible. You don't pass away. You know this, right? That your soul doesn't die. That if you die in a car accident on the way home tonight, your body dies and your soul lives. Your soul never passes away. You were made eternal. So at the hour of your death, when you pass away, you go somewhere. You either continue the journey you were on with God and intimacy with Christ and Him as your focus and your point in life, or you continue on walking away from Him into eternity. You don't get to choose a third option. You are eternal. And because of that, your life matters. Because you're eternal, I would die for you because I want you to know what love looks like. I would want you to understand what love looks like. Why did God die for you? Why did He send His Son? Because He wanted you, if you were ever in doubt as to how worthwhile you are and how good you are, you could look to a cross and say, well, God already died for me. I'm that worthwhile. I'm that good. Did I tell you guys about my flashlight last year? Yes. I did? Does anybody remember about it? Just a couple. You remember the Phoenix? Oh, it's out there. It's out there. Wow. So I have this flashlight that was $75. Is that what it was? $75? $75. And I got a $1 flashlight for my son Christian. And this flashlight, will somebody get my bag? Where's the sound guy? He knows where my bag is. Oh, whatever. I'll just keep talking. So, I got this flashlight that was $1 for my son, like those LED ones. Bye, guys. Those LED ones from the gas station. And I don't know if he asked me to get it for him so that he could put it in the toilet. But he put it in the toilet. And by the end of the day, it was waterlogged and he had stripped it down and there were springs everywhere and it was broken. It was nothing anymore. And I have this Phoenix LD20, which, if you ask me, it's bright. Yeah, I know. This LD20, just look at it. Let it burn it's the glory of God in your face, young man. Wake up! I'm just kidding. So this flashlight, when the batteries are charged well, this will shine 300 yards. 3 football fields, a beam of glorious light. On the island I lived on, we lived on the edge of a valley, and I shined it across the valley at houses, and they hated me for it. Like, what are you going to do, walk over here? No. And so it's not just bright. It's only AA batteries in here as well. It's not just bright. You can tone it down a little bit. It's a little toned down. But you can also, let's see, do this and cause seizures. Yes! So much power! But you can also... Oops. Okay, you go 1. No! Oh, wait. There we go. 1, 2, 3. So I'm not doing anything now. It has a chip inside that if you hit a certain amount of times, it will flash SOS for 3 days. Yeah! 3 days! So, my plane, because I'm a pilot, my plane crashes and I'm bleeding out and I just want my family to find me. And I can put my light up and it will flash a beacon in the darkness for 3 days. That's amazing! And my son has the nerve to ask me, Dad, can I play with your flashlight? And I'm like, no. Christian, when you're 30, you won't be touching my flashlight. You can come home with kids and you're not touching my flashlight. That thing is worthwhile. And infinitely more than that stupid little flashlight is you. You are worth everything. You are worth every sacrifice. You're utterly good in God's eyes. And so you're worth sacrificing for. God loves you and He gives Himself for you. And so for you, I would encourage you first, you look around at the people around you here and in your home and at school, just know that they are just as equally worth your sacrifice. See, I could talk for hours just about how good you are. And I hope, I took a few minutes, I hope you understand that you are good. But there's so much more than that to life, than just recognizing your own goodness. The thing worth dying for is that which lasts. So, money passes, marriages pass away, jobs fade away, paychecks fade away, nice cars get old and they look like mine. Everything fades away. Like nothing gold can stay, Pony Boy, if you guys know that movie. No? Okay, I'm old. Everything fades away. The only thing that doesn't is God's love for you, His relationship with you. So the only thing worth dying for is the one thing you can cling to, and it will take you into eternity, and that is God. It doesn't mean it's bad to play sports and have a good job and have a good marriage and have a nice house. None of that is bad. But when we look at that as what we should grasp onto, we will always be let down because it will always fade away. But God's love for you will not. When your friends betray you, and they will, because you'll betray people, we make mistakes. When your marriages maybe don't work out, when your job comes out from under you, when you fail out of school, when all the bad things happen, and you feel like a failure, God loves you. And if you cling to Him, if you keep your eyes up on Him, He will not fail you. So He's worth dying for. But the question is, that's in the future. Like, your death is probably years and years and decades away. So the question isn't just what is worth dying for. I would rather ask you, what is worth living for every day? What is worthy of every day of your life? When you get up in the morning, you have to go to school, and I'm not saying, Nick told me to drop out of school because of God. Don't do that, please. But it does mean that when you get up in the morning, you sit on the edge of your bed and your feet hit the ground, and you have to decide what kind of day you're going to have. What is worth taking breath all day long? Is your future job worth every breath of your life? Is a nice house? Is a satisfying job? Is a good relationship? That spouse that I always wanted? Sex? What is worth it? What is worth your day in, day out life? And the answer is the same as what's worth dying for. What is worth living for is anything that will last. If you live for the job, you will fail. You will feel miserable about life. If you live for applause, did I tell you that last year? I used to live for applause. When I was in college, my friends, from one of my birthdays, they bought me a CD of applause because they were like, that's what you want anyway. No lie. I was obsessed with attention. I mean, I would be at parties and I would just stand up and talk so that people would look at me. I mean, I just wanted to be noticed. And I was always dissatisfied because nobody noticed enough. Whatever it is you think you want every day that will satisfy you, you'll probably find at the end of the day it doesn't satisfy you. You're somehow let down. Think about all the things that you like. Music. At the end of the day, are you like, yes, I am fully satisfied forever? No. Even with All About That Bass, right? It lets you down. It doesn't mean it's bad, but when you look at it as the end, it's not worth living for. I want to tell you that the only thing truly worth living for, the only thing that will last, is God and His love for you. Really. So think about your day. I'm not talking just adults. I'm talking about you guys. You get up in the morning and you have to go to school. And school is distracting. There's tons of messages from your friends and from your coaches and from the media and from music and from your teachers. And you're just pulled in all these different directions, and it's tough to know what matters. Because you're told you need to look a certain way and that it really does matter how you look. And it doesn't. And you're told you need to get very good grades or else you don't measure up. And that's not true. You're told you need to succeed. You're told you need to do this. You're told you need to do that. And they're all good things, but they don't satisfy. An A will never satisfy you. A good job will never make you happy, ever. What will make you happy is the love of God. Is knowing that, okay, I can set aside a job. I'm not worthless if I'm homeless. I can set aside relationships. I'm not worthless if I'm not dating anybody. You can set aside accomplishments and say, I'm not worthless if I don't accomplish something. You can set it all aside and just look at Him and know that you're good. That's why my wife loves adoration. Because if you go to adoration, my wife will say that no matter how crappy I've been that week, I can walk up and I kneel down and Jesus is just there with me. Because what do humans do? When you've been a jerk all week, what do your friends do? Like, I'm just not talking to you. None of my friends do this. I'm not sure what that is. Anyway, no one does that. I mean, if you have friends that do that, I don't know, ask questions. Something's wrong. Take them to a counselor. Something's wrong. But that's what we do. When we mess up, those around us often just say, oh, well, we're done with you. Friendships are so fickle. Dating relationships are so fickle. They're not bad, they're just fickle. But when you mess up, when you trip and fall, regardless of your week, you can walk into any church with the Eucharist and he's just there saying, I love you. I know you had a bad week. Yeah, you tripped and fell. Yeah, you were a jerk all week. And I love you. That is the only thing worth living for. I'm a failure as a dad. I'm not a good dad. I'm working on it. I'm reading the books. I'm just not good at it yet. I am not the best husband on earth. I'm a moron. Ask my wife. She'll tell you, yeah, if we could call her, she'd be like, yes, he's a moron. I gotta go. And there are days I don't love anyone around me like I should. If I miss a meal and I'm on the road, I just want to run people over. I get so cranky. But at the end of all of that, I know for a fact that at the end of my worst day, when I'm more than just these chintzy things, I'm an actual sinner. And I'm a failure in the world's eyes. I know that God has never looked away from me. He's never frowned. He has only looked at me in love. So that's what I live for. But here's the clincher. The goal for you guys, yes, is to know that that's true about you. I want you to know that. But the real goal is that you show that to others. See, you're in a Catholic church right now. Adults, this part's for you as well. You call yourselves Catholic. You're in a Catholic church. Some of you just went to Mass and you have the Eucharist inside of you. You have that love of God. You have Him physically as part of you right now. And you're going to go out the door and it actually matters how you treat people. It actually matters how you view them at school, at your workplace, at your home. Because if you're anything like me, and I'm sure you're all just like me, we walk out of our door and we view everyone around us as personal ATMs for what we want. Our parents, allowances and games and food and shelter and all those things that we want. And granted, your parents should put a roof over your head, I'm just saying. But when all you do is look at your parents as what you can get, it's wrong. When you think of dating, what are you going to get out of the relationship? Oh, he makes me feel so happy. Oh, she's so hot. That's what it boils down to with guys. She's just so hot. And we all talk like that with the lazy eye. We all do that. But that's what we do. We approach relationships. What am I going to get? And we don't maybe say that. Some of us do. But we approach everything around us. We walk out our doors. What's in it for me? What's going to make me happy today? I don't like my teacher because he is rude to me. Or he asks me to do homework and things like that. Oh, my parents. Oh, you guys are so bad to your parents. I was the same way. That's why I can say that. Like, they're like, hey, will you take out the trash? I hate you! Come on. There's this utter, they ask you to do the smallest thing. Will you clean your room? I'm going on tour with Rihanna. I don't know. I don't know what that means. They ask you to do the smallest thing, and it's just this explosion. Why? The real reason that we do that to anybody around us is because we don't see them as people. We don't see them as somebody that God died for. We don't see the kids at school around us, the ones who are marginalized off by themselves, the bullies, all in between. We don't see our teachers, our principals, our parents, our children, our brothers and sisters, our boyfriends and girlfriends. We don't see them as people who are worthy of our lives. And I'm talking to the youth because somehow you think that in the future this kicks in. Like when you get out of high school and then you're an adult and you have a car and a bunch of bills, then that all kick in and you'll look at people the right way. It's not the way it works. I have a little bit of hope for the adults in the room. There's time. You guys aren't croaked yet. That's fine. But you guys, you don't understand how much life you have in you. You could literally walk out the door tonight and change the world. You could change Chanhassen. You could change your home tonight. And it starts from not looking at people as ATMs, but going out and be like, what can I give to you? What can I give to you? I guarantee you, if you walk up to your parents and say, like, can I do the dishes tonight? And you guys just sit down and, chill for a little bit. They'll be like, okay, somebody has kidnapped our child and put this one here. They won't know what to do with you. If they're like, can I please have the salt? And you don't hurl knives at them and flamethrowers. And if you just be like, yeah, absolutely, I love you. They'd be like, what did you do? What did you steal? What did you break? Because they don't expect it from you. If you walk out the door, and it doesn't come easily. It's not that it's easy, but it's not about ease. It's not about comfort. It's about greatness. It's about what you were made for. And you, in your body, you were made to give. You're made for it. You're not made to take from everybody around you. You're not made for it. That's why you're so unhappy. Think about it. At the end of the day, when you've just thought about me all day, you get to the end of the day and you're this scowling, angry mess. Because you didn't get anything you wanted out of... You look constipated, really, is what happened. You get to the end of the day and you're unhappy because you didn't get what you wanted. Instead, and I can attest to this, because this is the way... I'm a before and after. After starting to view people this way, you can walk out the door and everything is alive. Because I don't see what I can get out of you guys. I don't need applause. I don't need like, hey, good job. I don't actually need any of that anymore. I don't need encouragement ever again. I don't need it. I just want you to know that, like, by the end of the night, my hope is that at least you know one more voice in your life told you you're good and you're worthwhile. Because hopefully, you'll take it in, but hopefully you'll walk out and you'll say the same thing. That's what Jesus did to his disciples. He said, like, I'm gonna ascend to heaven now. So you go into all the world. Go. At the end of Mass, when I first became Catholic, we would go to Mass, or when we first started noticing the church, we'd go to Mass, and Mass gets over, and they're like, the Mass is ended, go in peace. And people are like, oh, thanks be to God. And that's the way it felt. Like, oh, gosh, that took forever. He was 1 minute over, and the Vikings are playing, and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of Mass, when Father says, the Mass is ended, go, glorifying God by your lives. That means go and burn. Shine like the flashlight, like the nice one. Not the toilet one. Go into all the world and give. Don't wait till you're older. Give now. Think about it right now. If you have any money in your pocket, any money at all, give it away tonight. But to who? I don't care. Give it to me. I got the basket. Anyone? No? And she's like, he put his armpit in my face. But I'm not lying. I'm serious. The money you have in your wallet, get rid of it. Give it away. Don't start your life clenching onto money right now. Let it go. It doesn't matter. It doesn't satisfy. God does. And if you start to live a life where, what's your name? Katie Ann. When God says, I know Katie Ann, and there's a guy over there that needs money, and if I trust her with money, if I get her a job and she has a good paycheck or a good allowance, I know she will find a way to give money to that guy. Then her life will change. My life changed the minute I said, okay, anything in my wallet's not mine, it's God's. Bring people into my life and I'll give it away. We have a policy in my family to give the big bill. If you open your wallet and you have a 20, a 10, a 5, and a 1, you give away the 20. Because otherwise we're like, oh, I was so great, I gave $1. I'm going to go buy 20 Mountain Dews now. It is a bummer when you accidentally put like 100 in there and somebody asks you, like, oh, crap! Just take it all! But do that, please. Tonight, begin to give like an idiot. Did I talk about the idiot last year? Yes. Give like an idiot. And I got 3 ways for you to start. This is Lent. What are the 3 things we do in Lent? Prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. Prayer. The handouts are still in the printer, Kayla. They're there in a stack. I have something for you. It's the gift from me. It costs me nothing. Start now. During Lent, pray. Even if it's... So I'm going to give you a sheet of paper, and on it is night prayer from the Liturgy of the Hours. And you're allowed to pray Sunday night prayer any day of the week. It's like and so I memorized years ago. It took me like 5 years. I memorized the 7 minutes worth of prayer, and you can pray it at night. Take 7 minutes and you can go to sleep. But if that's too long, that's fine. I understand. I also gave you my favorite prayer. It's called the Anima Christi. It's a very short prayer, and it's very deep. It's old. It's ancient, from the 14th century. But even if your only prayer of the day starts now, you get up, you put your feet on the ground, and you say, God, today let me see things the way you see them. Let me act the way you would act. Amen. And go on with your day. Everything will change for you. The smallest bit of prayer will change everything for you. It'll make it much harder. I want you to know that. It doesn't get easier, because suddenly everywhere you look, people are in need. But then you realize, I have enough. You know the band One Republic? Okay, they have a song on the radio. I think it's still on. Till the Love Runs Out. Yeah? If you haven't heard it, go listen to it tonight. Love Runs Out is amazing. And the whole point of the song is, I'll be loving you till the love runs out. And the point of the song is that it will never run out. That I'll love you till ever, till forever, till what can't run out runs out. I will love you. And you guys can give and give and give. And if you're doing it because of what God gives you, you will never be empty. Because we're worried, but if I give, I'm not going to get. But if you give, trusting in God, you will always get. He will always take care of you if you trust yourself to Him. So we'll hand this out at the end. It's got the Anima Christi on there as well. Prayer, fasting. Now, like I said, I can't fast food. Fast one thing in your life that you just really like, that you think of multiple times a day. Whatever it is. Just think of that. Do you guys play Trivia Crack? No? Yeah, some of it? An app, if there's an app that you go to all the time, Facebook app, it doesn't mean get rid of the Facebook app. You can keep it on your phone, that's fine. But use it as an alarm clock. Every time you go, oh, there's a free second, I think I'll scroll. Then, before you do this, that's just the way I look at the internet. I don't know. No wonder my head always hurts. Feel like, that guy's having a seizure as well. Right before you touch the Facebook app, take a second and pray. Just small. Use your body, use your desires as an alarm clock. Because I can't forget, like if I just I'm going to pray a Hail Mary or a decade of the Rosary multiple times a day this Lent, I will not do it. Because I can't remember to eat food on a regular basis. I'm not going to remember to do the Rosary. But when it comes to music, that reminds me. Because I fill space with it. Oh no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to pray first. Pray a little bit in the morning or the night. Fasting, just give something up. But I would ask that maybe you think about not giving it up just for Lent. Start with Lent, but be open to it just carrying on. If you drink a lot of Mountain Dew or a lot of one thing, just give up the second one or the third one. I guess the last one that you would drink of the day. Just give that one up. And when you're like, well, I've already had 9, I can get rid of the 10th. You know what I mean? I'm not asking for suddenly kneel for 9 hours and levitate and get a halo. None of that. Don't try to bilocate. I can't even unilocate. I can't be in one place at a time, let alone 2. Don't try to be a saint all of a sudden. Just give something up. Prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. I'm not lying. I know it seems like I'm harping on money, but I'm harping on money because it's the one thing nobody wants to give up. None of us do. We want it. We think it'll bring something, even in small doses, and it never does. So this Lent, give something up financially. Give some money away. Don't put a $sign on it. Just give. Give tonight. I was at a retreat yesterday, and one of the guys asked, but how do I know where to start? I told him, just go to any store, go to the grocery store, go to Target, wait by the checkout line. And when somebody is checking out, give them some of your money to help pay their bill. Go to McDonald's and pay for the person behind you. Go to school tomorrow and buy something in the cafeteria for one person. And do it every day. Just begin to give and give. And I'll end with this. My favorite song in the whole world is by Need to Breathe. And it's called Nothing Left to Lose. And it's not the most famous of their songs, and I don't know why. But the first line of the second verse says, love is just like a war you can't win. You can give, you can give, you can give. It's not about going through your day and winning and getting attention for what you do and getting recognized for it or anything. It's about getting up and giving and giving and giving. So at the end of the day, you collapse into bed exhausted. That's how a Christian's day should end. If you call yourself Catholic, then you need to give and give and give like an idiot. So that at the end of the day, people are like, I don't know how they do it. There's something totally different about that person. They give. There's nothing they won't give. They're just there for everybody. That's us. And I know you guys can do it. This isn't an adult message. This is a youth message. So we'll move on. I'm gonna pass this out right now. Well, I think there's music. Is there music of some kind? Oh, there's a drama. That's right. We'll put this by the door. Yeah, I won't force it on you. We'll just have it by the door. Oh, let me close with this verse. Can I please? It's from the Bible. 1 Timothy 4:12. Be not ashamed of your youth. Don't be ashamed or embarrassed, and don't let anybody talk down to you because you're young. But here's the rest of the verse. But be an example to the believers, to your fellow Christians, in your speech, in your conduct, in your love, in your faith, and in your purity. Don't let them talk down to you because you're young. Prove them wrong. Be an example in the way you talk and act. If anything, shame the adults into getting off their butts and living it for real. Bring Christ into every situation you do, and your life will change.